What is up, guys and girls? Hurricane Liz here. I'm finally back. I did a bunch of scuba diving, and let me say something first and foremost. That ain't no joke. I'm a chicken shit, and I had a heck of a lot of problems. I had to actually take a Xanax to scuba dive, and I don't know if I'm going to do it again. We'll see what happens. But for those of you that are faint at heart, I don't recommend it. For those of you that do it, give me some tips below. Show me some love and tell me that I'm not just a chicken shit. But here it is. Not even scuba diving will stop me from doing the Hot 5 new releases in KDP, and this week I gotta say it's an exciting one. I hadn't looked at these in 10 days and I was shocked at some of the things that I saw. I was shocked at the creativeness and inventiveness of some authors out there, so hopefully you can learn from them and hopefully you can learn from what I commented about them. And again, if you're one of these actual brilliant people that I commented about, hats off to you guys. I owe you a shot, or I owe you a drink, or I owe you a Xanax before we go scuba together, because I don't know if I'm ever going to do it again. I'll let you guys know. I'll update you. But other than that, let's go ahead and jump straight in. I'm fired up. Let's do this. All right, so we're here on my desktop, and as usual, I'm going to jump into Amazon and search hot new releases. Now, keep in mind, I haven't looked at these in over 10 days, so this is just as fresh to me as it is to you. So I'm super hyped up. I hope you're hyped up. And as usual, we're going to go into books and take a look at this. Rage. I guess this is a book about Trump. It's very interesting. We'll see if that actually affects what happens in the children's book section. But either way, I'm jumping into children's books, and we usually look at activities first. Let's go ahead and jump into the activities section, and then we're going to go into something different other than activity books. Let's go into crafts and hobbies this time, and we'll see if there's any difference in what actually happens. And we're going to stick there, and then we'll go back if we have to find more actual top 10 searches. So here we are, top 5, I mean. So here we are. It's a really cool craft book and fun with crayons. So this is kind of interesting, a little bit different. Again, magical unicorns as usual. This was a craft book, so crafts are hot, and I think we've actually hit them up before. And a bunch of origami. I seriously think that an origami book could potentially be made as a Kindle version, and so I'm going to go ahead and list that as number 1. But the only issue here is finding somebody that's clever enough in terms of a designer that can actually create this origami. So the other thing that's kind of coming to my head is what kind of trademark infringement type things could we deal with, or copyright issues if we did something with origami. But altogether, something having to do with Christmas crafting and or origami looks like it's pretty hot. So I'm just basically telling you what I see. Also, these drawing ones are hot, so you can kind of lump all that crap together all into one big giant shit pile. It's all pretty much the same, teaching kids how to keep handy with their hands and or crafting and things of that nature. You just basically want to keep those little suckers occupied long enough so you can sip some of that freaking wine because of the headache that they've given you throughout the course of the day. Now, don't ask me how I know this. It's certainly not based on experience, but it is based on the experience of hearing my friends bitch about the entire thing. So, like I said, that is what is actually showing up here in the actual crafting section, which is a little bit different. Again, how to draw. This one has to do with flowers and such. And as usual, we talked about Halloween. That's not going to be a surprise. Here's a pirate coloring book. So I'm seeing a little bit of a different kind of side of things. Like here's again a unicorn, which is pretty much standard at this point. Chibi, we've talked about Chibi in the past. Here's a COVID summer book, which again, we talked about summer activity books, so it's not a surprise that that pops up here. Now, this is again one of those examples of where I show you somebody trying to game the system by getting a bestseller badge and putting in options trading books inside of children's activity books just because they think it's easier to rank. So that is the trick that I talked about that a lot of people use. Here's Halloween crochet, and again, going and putting this on 2 things, the crafting idea plus the Halloween. Here's a Kawaii alphabet, which I think is very, very unique. I like the whole Chibi and Kawaii thing. I've never mentioned Kawaii, but Kawaii is a little different from Chibi, so I'm just going to go ahead and call out Kawaii because all these Japanese type things are fire. So number 2 is Kawaii, and they creatively put this together as a Kawaii alphabet. So they didn't just go with Kawaii like animals or Kawaii something. They decided to make it a learning experience for the child and make it a Kawaii alphabet, which again, you can go ahead and do the same thing. You can do Kawaii numbers, you can do Kawaii counting, you can do all sorts of things like that that can really help you light up the charts. Here's a garden one, which we talked about Fun with chalk, which is interesting. That kind of gets lumped together in that shit pile that I talked about earlier, which is just crafting and using your hands. Kids don't do that nowadays. The only thing they use their hands for is video games. Video games is it. Video games and putting those grubby little fingers on your pocket because they want some money to buy something. That's exactly what they're good for. At least that's what my friends tell me. Here again is the tattoo idea that I talked about all the time. And fact of the matter, here's more origami. Origami with this kind of looks like a llama, and Star Wars origami. If you're going to do origami at all, why not Star Wars? Now remember, if you do something like Star Wars, it is trademark infringement, and you will probably get hit with the cease and desist faster than I could slap you across this actual screen, which is pretty much instantaneously. So you don't want to have to do that. You don't want to get slapped like that. Here's the big sister one we talked about a long time ago. Peyton and Penny. I love this. Here is a couple of cute pandas, and why not just name them something P and P? So this is PP right here. PP is in the house, and PP is crushing it at number 38. So I wouldn't be surprised if I saw more PP books coming up in the near future, because they certainly are doing well for themselves, at least at this present moment. Let's see, what is black magic? We talked about the whole witches thing, and really nothing other than those first two that we just saw that is catching my eye. Parrot and Firefly. This one's kind of interesting. Like I said, why not put two different things together? In this case, they didn't name them because then they would have had to take up more description or title space. It would have been Polly the Parrot and Fairy the Firefly. Don't ask me how I came up with those names. They just shot right out of my mouth. Pumpkin carving templates, again, going into that shit pile of crafting plus lumping it together with something red hot right now, which is Halloween. So I'm going to continue to look, and then when I see something, I'll come back and talk a little more. Again, another origami book. Like, I just really like origami, okay? Like, for some reason, origami is like fire. And why do I keep saying like? Well, because it's what it said in the title. I just really like. Here's another interesting thing. But again, this is not something that can be made into a coloring book, but I'm just kind of showing you the fact of the matter that parents are wanting their kids to get more handy and talk about exciting sensory bins that would excite some kids' senses, whatever the hell that is. So here is a highlights book of things to do, and Highlights is a gigantic company that makes all sorts of books and magazines. I actually remember reading those as a kid, and I know that was back in prehistoric times, but the fact of the matter is they've been around a very long time. Word games, we always have talked about word games and mazes, and here's a notebook. Composition notebooks is a topic we talked about before. So I'm going to just call it out in case you guys don't realize that right now is the time to make composition notebooks. And if you're probably just starting right now here at the third position with composition notebooks, you might be running a little bit late, because as far as I'm concerned, I know a lot of teachers that have gone back to school. So I'm assuming that kids have also gone back to school. And that means a necessity for composition notebooks, because they're all going to have to do the shit that they hate doing, which is writing stupid essays, which kind of never really help out in life. Like, what the hell kind of essay helped you in life? I certainly know that didn't help me. I don't really use essays. I can barely even put together any English, which goes to show you how well I learned when I was a kid. So who knows what the heck they're learning nowadays. Here's Cats Celebrate Halloween. I love it. Again, combining two very hot topics, Halloween and cats. Whoever did this one, absolutely love this book. And I figure it's going to start to light things up, especially coming into Halloween. The other great thing that I like that they did here is they priced it very low now. So I would keep an eye on this, and I'd expect them to jack that price up as Halloween approaches, thus making more profit. But at this $5.50 price, they're just kind of trying to get as many sales as possible to stimulate the algorithm and get ranked higher. You know, that was a lot of words, but stimulation is the key here, kids. So here's another one, Monkeypreneur, kids book about money. I love this book. I think it's awesome. It's a great way to learn, but it's very inventive, very creative. I like this a lot. I would like to have seen them make this an actual physical edition. I think it would have sold better than just being a Kindle edition, but I don't even know how to lump this, but I like the fact that at number 4, it's teaching kids about how to be an entrepreneur and how to make money and things of that nature. And it's combining it with the theme like a freaking monkey. And whoever came up with this shit is genius. Monkeypreneur. It's just very catchy. It's very cool. Now, I don't necessarily think the monkey is cute. I think he could have been a lot cuter. And I think they could have gotten a much better artist, but they didn't. But again, it's pretty creative, pretty inventive. And it comes in at number 4. in just teaching kids about entrepreneurial endeavors and things of that nature. I just like it. It's the only one I've seen of its kind. I've seen a couple other ones about money, but I'm just going to call it out because I think it's so creative. And I think this is the type of book that people are not making that will sell well on its own, catch on, and eventually even possibly become a big brand. So whoever did this, good job. And let's see what else. Sticker collecting album. I like the fact this, I actually want to see what's in this because I think this is kind of cool and creative as well, because I don't think it would be that hard to put this together. A sticker, yeah, it's basically a Kindle book, and I like this also. It's the first thing that I've ever seen, and so I know that I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I think sticker albums are awesome, and I think more people should do them. I've rarely seen a lot of them rank that high. This is the actual first one that I've seen, although I might not have been paying attention because I'm usually just running my mouth, but just mark my words, I think this is very creative, very inventive, and I'll probably start seeing some more. I also like this one. It's Ticking Legs, It's So Hot. I think that's awesome. And again, origami just all over the freaking place. It's just surprising to me how all of a sudden origami became that hot overnight. And Halloween, no surprise that Halloween is all over the place. Exciting sensory bins as well. And pretty much that's all I've seen is origami and Halloween, and that's about it for this particular crafts category. Now, here's another example of a Christmas book that is already popping up. It's Christmas Crochet. Once again, going into that theme of crafting plus a holiday. So just be prepared for Christmas to put some sort of crafting plus Christmas together in some sort of Kindle book, and you'll probably have a bestseller on hand. I highly recommend you do that. This one here is a mermaid one, and then another mermaid one. So this looks like it's almost the same person that put these together. Again, Halloween story journal, selling well, and it probably didn't take them that long to create. And here's a couple other ones. I mean, they're not that high, but still 1 million means that it's sold, and they're selling right at around $6.99. So not bad at all. Here is a coloring book. One thing about this, let's take a look and see if these books are the same person, because one thing I'm noticing is they managed to get several of them ranked well. So they're either, and they are. So I would, if I was anybody out there that was having trouble selling, I'd notice these people have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are ranking and have all sold. I would try and take a look at this data further, and if you guys want me to break that down into a video, you can post that below. I will gladly reply if I get enough people to do that, to make this into an entire video, because there's something going on here that I immediately see. I could see it was the same style. I could see it was the same person that was selling this, but they've got, let's see how many books. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books that have immediately gotten a sale, are immediately on the top 100 new releases, and are selling now. So it would make sense to further investigate these to see what kind of things they're doing in order to facilitate that, because I know a lot of the comments below have been, Liz, I cannot get my shit to index for anything, which is for those noobs out there, it means they can't get their books to show up for any keywords that they're trying to show up for. So the question is, how did these people manage to generate that with 5 brand new books almost immediately and show up on the hot new releases? That is a question that I feel is worth answering. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If I get at least 10 comments about that, I will gladly dig into that deeper and tell you guys what I see. Here's another example of another seller, but this person I can almost guess it's because of the price, which is $4.99. Now, if we keep moving forward, we can see some other ones. There's a lot of interesting ones, but again, I pretty much named all of them. Let's go back up into, now we need one more. So let's see what we can find in activities, crafts, and games. And let's go into activity books, and let's see what's hot in diaries. Let's see if we see those pop up again. A Ninja Life Hacks Journal, we saw that. Puzzle book for kids. We talked about butterflies. Kids draw anything in 5 minutes, which goes back into that lumped up pile of shit that we talked about earlier. Gratitude journaling and butterfly. Nothing fancy in either of those. Let's go into coloring books this time, and let's see what we find here. Right, so we've got standard things that we've seen, dinosaurs. Here's an interesting lake, giant book of coloring. I like this one a lot. I think it was very creative. I think It focuses on a lot of core actual subjects that we've talked about in the past, which is summer activities, which is geography, and now it turns it into a coloring book. So if you've ever had a question, and I'm going to call this one the last one at number 5, if you've ever had a question of how you combine some of these and how you're creative enough to create them, this is the answer to all of that. It creates, again, the geography, which is a lake. It creates and integrates the traveling part. It integrates the part that there's a coloring book. It integrates the part that it's activity book. It integrates everything into one, and it makes it fun for kids to learn about this crap. And I'm curious to see what they put in here. Over 200 pages. Like, obviously, I'm not saying go out there and create a 200-page book with all this crap in it, but I am saying here is how you get creative, and here is how you integrate all those things that I've been talking about. Like, look how simple this is. This isn't even as fun as the cover. What makes this fun is this cover, right? This cover is insanely cool. It's insanely fun. It's got a lot going on. It makes you feel like your kids are going to be doing a lot of shit. So you have a lot of extra time on your hands to hit the bottle hard. And you get inside and then you're like, what is this crap, right? If we look at the first pages, it's a great first page, great introductory page. And then all of a sudden it's this, whatever they call this mandala crap with Lake Wawasee, which I don't even know if it's a real lake, but this looks like a seahorse that has had way too much time in the sea, right? That's exactly what I'm seeing here. And that's exactly how you combine things together, and you charge a whopping $12.95. And then they put them in children's water sports books, which it gets a #1 hot new release. So all that together, I'm loving this book. And it's right now at 18,000 in books. No wonder it's selling like fire. I just love it, and that's why it's number 5. And pretty much that's a wrap. I think I'm going to end it on a high note, which is this is how you combine all the crap that I'm talking about. I'm not just here rambling for fun and pulling things out of my ass. I'm telling you how you create a best-selling book that can become a brand. Now, this person, whoever created Lake Wawasee, can next hit Lake How You See, right? I'm just making that up. I don't know what the name of the lake is, but they can do every single lake and continue this as a huge, huge brand, which eventually can sell. So again, as always, post questions and or comments below. I always personally answer them, and I would love to see you guys on the next video. So peace out.